my aunt's kid has thrown him out and he wants to live with me. I'm a 36-year-old woman living alone in my late mother's home. I have a good job and a stable life. My boyfriend lives in another state, but he's very supportive. Everything was going smoothly until last night, when I got an unexpected call from my father, Andrew. I was relaxing after work when my phone rang. I saw it was my dad, and hesitated before answering. We hadn't spoken in months. When I picked up, I heard sobbing on the other end. It took a few moments before my father could speak. "I'm so sorry," he said between sobs. "I know I have no right to ask this, but I need your help." I felt a knot form in my stomach. "What's going on, Dad?" He explained that my Aunt Claudia, my mom's sister, had kicked him out of her house. He'd been living with her for the past 16 years, ever since my mom died. Now he was staying in some rundown place and didn't know what to do. "I'm old now," he said. "I can't take care of myself like I used to. I was wondering, is there any chance I could come stay with you? Just until I figure something out?" I was stunned. A flood of emotions hit me all at once. Anger, hurt, confusion. I told him I needed time to think about it, and hung up. Now I'm sitting here, trying to process everything. My mind keeps going back to 16 years ago, when I was just 20 years old. My mom had died after a long battle with cancer. I was devastated, lost, and in desperate need of support. But instead of being there for me, my dad packed up and left to go live with Claudia. Claudia was a single mom with a young kid at the time. I guess my dad decided her family needed him more than I did. He completely neglected me after that. No calls, no visits, nothing. I had to figure everything out on my own. Those first few years were so hard. I was barely an adult, suddenly living alone in this big empty house. I had to learn how to manage bills, cook for myself, and deal with my grief all at the same time. I was in college, trying to keep up with classes while also working part-time jobs to make ends meet. Not many family members stepped up to help. A few distant relatives sent sympathy cards, but that was about it. My mom's parents had passed away years before, and my dad's family lived far away. I felt so incredibly alone. I remember crying myself to sleep many nights, wondering why my dad had abandoned me. What had I done wrong? Wasn't I important to him? The hurt and rejection were overwhelming, but somehow, I managed to get through it. I threw myself into my studies and work. I made a few close friends who became like family to me. Slowly but surely, I built a life for myself. After college, I landed a good job in marketing. I worked hard and moved up in the company. I started traveling, pursuing hobbies, dating. A few years ago, I met my current boyfriend. He's amazing, kind, supportive, understanding. We're in a long-distance relationship now due to our jobs, but we make it work. Financially, I'm in a good place. I paid off my student loans, I have savings, and I'm able to take nice vacations now and then. I've done a lot of work on the house over the years, updating and redecorating. It feels like my own space now, filled with happy memories instead of sadness. I thought I had moved on from the pain of my past. I rarely thought about my dad anymore. The last time we spoke was at Christmas when he called to wish me happy holidays. Our conversations are always short and superficial. And now this. After 16 years of absence, he wants to move in with me. I don't even know how to begin processing this request. Part of me is still that hurt 20-year-old girl, angry at being abandoned. Why should I help him when he wasn't there for me? He made his choice back then. He chose Claudia and her kid over me. Now that arrangement has fallen through and suddenly he remembers. He has a daughter. But another part of me feels guilty. He is my father after all. And he sounds desperate. What if he ends up homeless? Could I live with myself knowing I turned him away in his time of need? I'm also worried about how this would impact my life. I've worked hard to create a peaceful, stable environment for myself. Having my dad move in would completely disrupt that. What about my relationship? My boyfriend and I like to spend time together at my place when he visits. That would be awkward with my dad around. And what about the long-term implications? Is this a temporary thing, or would he expect to live with me indefinitely? He mentioned being old and unable to care for himself. Does that mean he needs a caretaker? I'm not equipped for that, emotionally or practically. There's also the issue of Claudia. I'm curious about what happened there. Why did she kick him out after all this time? Is there something I should know? I haven't spoken to her in years either. I feel like I need more information before I can make a decision. But I'm also afraid of getting sucked back into family drama that I've worked so hard to distance myself from. Part of me wants to just say no. To tell him that he made his choice 16 years ago and now he has to live with the consequences. But I worry that's just my hurt and anger talking. I don't want to be a cruel person. I've thought about calling some friends for advice, but I'm embarrassed. I've never told anyone the full story of what happened with my dad. It's always been too painful to discuss. My boyfriend knows some of it, but not everything. I'm considering reaching out to Claudia to get her side of the story. But I'm nervous about opening that can of worms. What if she tries to guilt me into taking him in? Or what if I learn things about my dad that make me feel even worse? I keep thinking about what my mom would want me to do in this situation. She always taught me to be kind and forgiving. But she also believed in standing up for yourself and not letting people take advantage of you. I'm not sure which principle applies here. There's also a small, childish part of me that sees this as an opportunity. Maybe if my dad lives with me, we can repair our relationship. Maybe he'll finally be the father I needed all those years ago. But I know that's probably just wishful thinking. People don't change that dramatically, especially not at his age. I'm worried about anger building if I do let him move in. What if I agree and then regret it? What if all those old feelings of anger and abandonment come rushing back? I've worked hard on my mental health over the years,